Get those in there.
Well, that was a wonderful little warm-up. I love hearing that music from these guys. My name is Art Wachter, and I'd like to welcome you to this wonderful session with Rob Ickes Trey Hensley. I am a member and a big supporter of the Susquehanna Folk Music Society. I encourage you to do the same. This is an organization whose mission is to support music in our community. They bring lots of great folk music, and who cannot applaud that, because we certainly need more of that these days. I am also a host of the Folk Show on WPSU out of State College, Pennsylvania. It's a different folk show than Ian runs out of WXPN, but we are proud that our show has been running since 1953. It's the oldest show of its kind that's been running continuously on the planet, so we're very happy about that. And once again, it's all about folk music and sharing the music with our friends. So we are here today to find out a little behind the scenes with Rob and Trey. I have to tell you a couple little things about them. Rob and Trey got together. Rob is, how many years is it? 15 years IBMA, Billboard Player of the Year. What an accomplishment for that. And Trey, at 11 years old, I read, you started on the Grand Ole Opry. How do you learn how to play to that level before 11 years old? We'll get into talking about that. A couple of quotes, two musical phenoms from NPR. Rob and Trey are an acoustic firestorm. That's from Vintage Guitar. Dual lightning strikes in a bottle. That's really a good one from Guitar Player magazine. Trey, he's an award-winning singer-songwriter, guitarist, born in Johnson City, Tennessee. You grew up in Telford, right?
That's right.
He made his first public appearance, as I said, on the Grand Ole Opry with Marty Stewart, Earl Scruggs. We're gonna hound him for a little more information about that coming up. He moved to Nashville in 2013 and met up with Rob, and the rest there is history. And then Rob, you were from San Francisco, California. He moved to Nashville. He was a session, still is a session player too, right? It's an amazing number of people he has recorded with. Vince Gill, Earl Scruggs, Merle Haggard, Alan Jackson, Reba McEntire, Alison Krauss, Willie Nelson, Tony Rice, David Grissom. I could talk for 25 more minutes about who he's played with, but I won't do that. Nashville's hottest young player, according to Acoustic Guitar magazine. So, the IBMA, he is the most awarded instrumentalist in the history of the organization. That's really something to be said, something to be proud of.
Thank you.
So let's start out. Where did you guys meet? Obviously in Nashville, but did you make plans to get together in Nashville, or did you just meet there and say, hey,
no,
made to be together?
I mean, I probably met Trey when he was 11 or 12, you know, because I was playing with Earl Scruggs, and Earl was a bit, ever since they met that night, you know, on the Opry, when Trey played with Marty and Earl, Earl became a big fan of Trey's, and so whenever we would play in East Tennessee, he would invite Trey to sit in with the band. And so, first time I really remember meeting Trey was in Knoxville, the Tennessee Theater, and he came and sat in with the band, and I was just really knocked out. I thought, man, this kid is amazing. And then we'd see each other now and then, you know, at some bluegrass festivals or, you know, different shows where his band was playing and Blue Highway was playing. And then, I guess around 2013, you moved to Nashville. And that's when we really started playing together, and I was so excited about Trey and his music, you know. I mean, he was good when he was a kid, but when he moved to Nashville, it was like, man, this guy's great. And so we started doing, you know, kind of some showcases, and I was telling some label people about Trey, you know, you gotta see this guy, he's amazing. And we ended up doing an album together, and then that got nominated for a Grammy, which was great. And I guess we started doing it kind of as our main gig around that time, actually, right before that record got nominated. But that's how we met, I guess, was through Earl Scruggs, yeah.
So Trey, we talked earlier about at 11 years old. When did you start playing? Were you first a guitar player? Did you start on the ukulele, which a lot of guitar players do?
No, I started on guitar. I was given a guitar as a Christmas present when I was 9, and I was kind of interested in it, but it didn't really catch on, you know. And So I guess right before I turned 10, I went to a bluegrass festival. My dad was, he's always been a big bluegrass fan, and he played a little banjo when I was a kid. And so he took me to this bluegrass festival, and I got to see Jimmy Martin and Charlie Waller play. And Charlie Waller was the first person I'd ever seen actually like take a guitar break on a guitar. You know, before that I'd seen a lot of strummers on TV. You know,
Right.
and but when he played this song called Under the Double Eagle, and I just specifically remember, you know, hearing that and seeing him play those notes and having a lightning bolt moment of that's what I want to do. And so a family friend had given me this old Yamaha guitar. And so yeah, I started playing when I was 10, and I met Marty. I'd been playing for 6 months, and I had this big felt guitar case that I was wanting him to sign backstage at a show. My dad had gotten us backstage passes to meet Marty because I was always a big fan, and kind of unbeknownst to me, my dad asked if I could play Marty a song backstage, and so I did. And it was an old Carter family song called Jimmy Brown the Newsboy, because I was my big inspiration for getting into music in the first place was Lester Flatt and Earl Scruggs. You know, listening to those records and hearing Earl play those guitar parts, and so I had learned Earl's guitar break to Jimmy Brown the Newsboy, and so that's how the Opry kind of happened. I'd been playing for about 9 months whenever I played on the Opry. So
Well, you learned good, as they say.
that's Tennessee talking.
Yeah. So Rob, I guess we should say a little bit about a friend that we had in common, the late great Mike Aldridge. And I read in your bio, and I think I've heard you talk about it before. Maybe you can talk a little bit about how you started playing dobro, and he was an inspiration to you.
He was, you know, I'll always talk about Mike Aldridge, and I had a lightning bolt experience with Mike's music, kind of like you did with seeing Charlie play guitar. I was 12, and I heard Mike Aldridge's first album, which is just called Dobro, fittingly. It's a real masterpiece, and just blew my mind. You know, I'd kind of been thinking about picking up an instrument. My family played a lot of music, and thought maybe I'd play guitar or harmonica. And then when I heard that record, I was like, okay, I know what I'm doing for the rest of my life, you know. But it really was like, even when I was a kid, I was just like, I just got so into it, you know. It made me feel so good just to hear this instrument be played well, struck a chord, you know, with me, so to speak. And yeah, in fact, so Mike and I and Jerry Douglas did a record a few years ago called
Right.
3 Bells.
If you don't have that album, you have to get it. It is absolutely marvelous.
Well, it was just a thrill to work with each of those guys, but you know, Mike's playing and talking with other dobro players over the years. Other people had the same experience that I had with Mike's music, or the Seldom Seen, you know. And he just had this beautiful sound, you know. Once you heard that sound, you just wanted to figure out how to make it, how to get it into your life, you know. So I contributed a song to that record called The Message, because I felt like Mike sent me a message. Even though I was growing up in California, of course, Seldom Seen was out, you know, around DC area. But he sent me a message to start playing, you know, and he had that effect on a lot of people.
You know, he was a big influence on a lot of people, and I can remember one time in a group of people we were talking about what a genius you are, Mike, and he got on band and said, I'm not a genius, which comes to his work ethic. He said, I get up every day and I play 6 hours every single day.
Yeah.
And he said, the licks you hear on stage, sometimes I play for months before they happen. And I think that's part of what it takes to become great like you guys.
It does. I mentioned one time, you know, when you play music for a long time, it's sort of like putting a puzzle together. You keep adding pieces to the puzzle, and Mike Aldridge put a lot of the puzzle together for us dobro players, you know.
His album, 8-String Swing, I was a young guy when it came out, and I was like, what in the hell did this guy do to dobro? It was such a phenomenal album. I wore it out, of course. But anyway, let's talk about, as teenagers, what were you listening to? What was your favorite?
Oh man, I just got so into the South. Once I started playing, I would only listen to Mike Aldridge solo albums. That was my record collection. And then I branched out and I started listening to Seldom Seen albums.
No Led Zeppelin in there, or did you?
A little bit, just from osmosis, just from driving in the car and had my sister having that.
Peer
music
pressure
on.
and girls.
Yeah, just in the background. I definitely soaked up a lot of Van Halen, you know, and Journey and all that pop stuff. And but and then somebody told me about this record with the Rice and Skaggs record, Tony Rice and Ricky Skaggs, and I said, "Is there dobro on it?" And they said, "No, it's just guitar and mandolin and vocals." Like, why would I get that record? Why would I want to get that? And but they were adamant that I needed to get that record, and it just blew my mind, And Tony Rice just blew my mind,
So Trey, your turn. What about you? You started pretty young into this music, but when you were hanging out with the guys and the girls on the weekend, what was your listening?
It got
material?
pretty crazy at a certain point. No, I've always sort of, wanted to explore all the kinds of music that I could listen to, and for my early years of playing, it was all specifically bluegrass stuff and country stuff, and then I got into somebody gave me a little cassette of Van Halen 1, and I got way into that. And this was in the 2000s, so there was just a lot of stuff. But I got way into 70s rock and a lot of metal stuff, and then I kind of got into the blues as much as I did bluegrass. I just randomly bought a two records. One of them was an Eric Clapton doing Robert Johnson songs, and I had no idea who he was, And I just knew somebody had said, "Oh, Eric Clapton's good," and that record was okay, but I really wanted to get into Robert Johnson, so I went and bought a Robert Johnson record. And I grew up in this Johnson City. Had a very cool record store once upon a time, and this guy got to know me because every day I would go in, after school, and he started setting aside things he thought I would like, and one of those was just so happened to be that Clapton record. And then I came in the next day and I said, I need a Robert Johnson record, and that was it, man. That hit me as strong as Earl guitar playing.
I always ask this question because I really think all of these influences, like you said, subconsciously they feed your playing,
big time.
and it makes you who you are today in the playing.
Yeah.
So when you guys decide to do a tune, how do you find your material, aside from your originals now, but just say you get together when you're first starting, how do you decide what to do? What's a practice like for you guys? Do one of you say, hey, this is how I do the song, you hammer it out, or what's a typical session like that for you?
Yeah, great question. Every song is different, and when we first started playing together, I just remember we sent each other a lot of songs, like maybe pre-Dropbox or early Dropbox, but I don't know. I think I just gave Trey a CD, and he gave me a CD, and we just kind of made a list, and I think we just started booking gigs, the Station Inn, so okay, well, we need like 35 songs or whatever, but I was really impressed Trey, with how much different music Trey knew. He knew it really well. He just really had a grasp of a lot of different styles. So I enjoyed that right off the bat. We could do some Merle Haggard, we could do some Bob Wills, we could do some Jimmy Martin.
And put your own style into it. That's what's so cool about you guys.
Well, I like, it's funny growing up playing bluegrass, and the banjo is so prominent, but we don't have a lot of banjo on our music, but for me, I feel like it's allowed me to sort of get back to my roots, because sort of being from the West Coast, Bob Wills was like a king. Of course, that was before my time, but Merle Haggard is my hero, both of our, one of our main heroes. And to hear, like guitar and dobro and pedal steel and fiddles, that's really kind of my roots, I think, of I don't know, even just geographically,
So I'd really like to hear, I'm sure everybody here would love to hear you guys do a tune, so maybe you could, lead us into something, and how you put that song together, how you selected it, and I'll step down off the stage for a minute and come back, We'll continue, but we'd love to hear a tune. Let's hear a hand for Rob and Trey.
So, and also when I was a kid, for me, often at a bluegrass festival or whatever, you'd be up jamming all night with all these musicians, but everybody else would fall asleep and I'd still be going. And I would often find a friend who played guitar, and there's something about just these two instruments together, and a singer, hopefully. You can do a lot, with just these two instruments, and it makes me think of, talking about Merle Haggard and Bob Wills, makes me think about Jimmy Rogers, and he was the guy who really brought, this, slide Hawaiian guitars into American music, really, So we'll do a Jimmy Rogers song. This one is written during the Depression. It's called Never No More Hard Times Blues.
I've got a barrel of flour, Lord, I've got a bucket of lard. I've got a barrel of flour, Lord, I've got a bucket of lard. I ain't got no blues, but I've got chickens in my backyard. I've got corn in my crib, cotton growing in my patch. I've got corn in my crib, cotton growing in my patch. I've got that old hen sitting, waiting for that old hen to hatch. Hitch up my mule and take a hold of my line. I'm gonna hitch up my mule and take a hold of my line. Lord, I can't be worried with all these old hard times. Lord, I'm gonna settle down. Gonna find me a cornfed woman. Lord, quit just running around. Well, I ain't got no blues, but I've got chickens in my backyard.
I could listen to that all day long. So it's amazing how fast time flies. I have so many questions for these guys and so much we'd like to know. But I do want to ask you about songwriting. I know you've each written songs on your own. Do you collaborate in songwriting together? And if so, what's the process like for you?
Well, it's we do collaborate quite a bit. Actually, this new record that we've got coming out is pretty much a joint effort on every song. You know, we've written or co-written every one of them, and yeah, I mean, it kind of varies from time to time. You know, during the pandemic, we would do a lot of Zoom calls, you know, and have ideas, pieces of songs. A lot of times, Rob will have you know, a title or just a line, and we'll kind of go from there, or I'll have a line or something, or you know, very, very seldomly it's a melody first. It's usually the lyric first, and then a melody kind of comes with it. But yeah, it's...
I'm always amazed at songwriters. Everyone has their way they do it. We did an interview with Tom Bresch, Merle Travis's son.
Yeah.
And he said, Merle Travis always said, you have to know how the movie ends before you write note one.
Yeah.
He said the movie has an ending, or the story has an ending. He always wrote the last verse first.
Wow.
And once he got that, he knew where to go. He said all the rest comes real fast after that.
Yeah.
But some people have the music first, and some people have the lyrics, but that's great.
Yeah.
The albums, they have 3 albums out now. The Sun Goes Down, I know they told you before, but that was nominated for a Grammy. Another fantastic work of art. If you are into the kind of music these guys do, which we all are, definitely get that. The other ones are the Country Blues, that came out in 2016.
Yeah.
And then World Full of Blues, 2019. And then you were talking about, what's the title of the new album?
Living in a Song is the new one. It'll be out October 7th.
October 7th. And then you have some upcoming gigs, Music on the Square in Washington County. Where's Washington County?
Jonesboro, Tennessee, Johnson City area, where I'm from.
And that's August 20th to 23rd. You're at Analog at
Nashville, yeah. We're in Nashville, yeah, hometown gig.
You can go to their website and get their entire list of what they're doing. I love what these guys do. I have to tell you, I got to meet the president not long ago, and he said to me, you know, I said, what can we do? He goes, you need to help us with the economy. He said, we all need a little help. So he said, get out there and spend money. He said, when you do get to talk to Trey Hensley and Rob Ickes, he said, tell all the people to buy their albums, and it will help our economy. So make sure you go to the Mercantile area. That was a little story now. I'm getting into Liars Club now. But you won't be disappointed. Go up and get their albums. Support these guys. Support music in our community. They're going to finish up with another tune for us here. They are going to be on the main stage at 5:40 p.m. Make sure you get out there and see them. Support their music and support all music in our community. Thanks so much, guys. I love what you're doing.
Thank you.
And you want to do something from your new album, maybe, or your favorite's going to sneak out and?
Yeah, let me think here.
Let's do that.
Probably good.
Okay. So there's this is one actually Trey wrote with a friend of his from East Tennessee, and
Crossroad Blues? Okay, I signed up.
Oh, yeah.
I just wanted to know.
love that. We'll do it next time. Here's one that has some of the same notes. But this is one kind of thinking about folks who moved to Nashville to be big stars, and this is a song about somebody who went there to do that. Maybe things didn't go quite as planned.
Hey, thank y'all very much. Well, he thumbed his way to Nashville back in '88 with a dream and a guitar to his name. Well, he could sing like Elvis, but he could hardly wait. He could almost taste the fortune and fame. But Music City is a town that can knock you down and leave you in total despair. Well, it can tear you apart and rip out your heart and turn your dreams into nightmares. Now his home is on the back streets off Broadway, living out his dreams on nickels and dimes. When the road told him no, he had nowhere to go but the back streets off Broadway, out of his mind. till he landed between second and third. Well, he's still there today and making his way, singing for all that he's worth. And his home is on the back streets off Broadway, living out his dreams on nickels and dimes. When the road told him no, he had nowhere to go but the back streets off Broadway and out of his mind. Music road told him no, he had nowhere to go but the back streets off Broadway and out of his mind. He's on the back streets off Broadway and out of his mind.
Thanks a lot, everybody.
Rob Ickes Trey Hensley. Make sure you see them on the main stage at 5:40. Thanks so much, guys. Wonderful.